Mics, camera, action. Welcome to Takaro Kids, the weekly podcast that helps kids and many adults as well. We know kids who are, in their 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, all of them who listen to Takaro Kids. We help all of them understand the events that shape the world around them. But Debbie, you have some crazy plans for today's episode, right?
I mean, a little crazy, not too much. We're just going to go upside down today, right? So,
whoa,
ulta pulta, upside down. Not that we're going to be on our hands with our feet up. We're not recording upside down. What we're going to do is we've just flipped the script. What does that mean? Normally, for our regular listeners, they know that the quiz question always comes at the end of the episode. But this time, what we did promise is that we were going to talk about the answer of last week's quiz question. So since our topic is connected to the quiz question, we said we'd start with that. Simple, not too crazy, right, Kiran?
Wow, mind blown.
Thanks. Cool. Yeah, we should always keep changing it up. Keep it interesting, right? Great. So our quiz question last week that we asked all our listeners was, who just won the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize?
Yep.
Do you have the answer, Kiran?
We had four options. It was Maria Ressa, it was Maria Corina Machado, it's Malala Yousafzai, and it's Narges Mohammadi. And the right answer is Maria Corina Machado.
Well done!
Yeah, congrats. And we also had a lucky winner. We picked one lucky winner. We got lots of entries. Some were right, some were not. But out of the ones that were right, we have a 9-year-old Anvi who got the right answer and was picked as a lucky winner. What does she win, Debbie?
Congratulations, Anvi. You are winning a gift voucher from us with all our love. And you also are going to get a special Takaro Kids t-shirt, right? So congratulations. Look out for that. We will be getting in touch and making sure that we know where to send it to. Once you tell us that, you will get your t-shirt.
Very important. Excellent. So now we're going to be talking about the Nobel Prizes, right? In this episode. And it was created by Alfred Nobel, a Swedish inventor and chemist. It's very interesting. The Nobel Prizes are announced in Sweden, except for the Peace Prize, which is announced in Norway. Yeah. So the reason Alfred Nobel was he actually invented the dynamite. I think all of us know the dynamite, right? It goes boom.
It goes boom.
Yeah, exactly. And he invented it just as, as a young inventor, scientist, he created that. And unfortunately, it was being used in wars and to kill people. And so he really had a lot of guilt building up in him, right? As he saw this, his fortunes kept growing and growing because obviously if he invented the dynamite, it was used everywhere. It's used in wars. It's used to, when you go quarrying, which is mining, you take your marble and your granite. You need dynamite to go in and break those rocks and hills and everything. So his fortune just grew leaps and bounds. But because of his guilt, he said that he's going to institute this Nobel Prize where he is going to reward people who make the world better through science, literature, peace. And that was the goal because he was so guilty about what he had created.
Quite a legacy, Alfred Nobel, right? That he left behind. And what a great way to think as well. Hey, I've done something that people are using for harm. So how can I make sure that for years and years and years to come, all this wealth can be used to actually create something that's good for the world, to make up for what I've done. And I think that's quite incredible. And that's why the Nobel Prize is actually one of the most important prizes that's given out every year, the most coveted. In fact, so coveted. Even the president of the United States really, really wanted one this year. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
he didn't make the cut. But yeah, it's an extremely, extremely important prize, and there
And
are
I think
six
it's
categories.
there are six categories, and I think it is one of the only sort of globally recognized awards like this, right? Because there are many awards that will happen in India, in the US, in UK, and wherever else it may be. But this is one of those global awards. It doesn't matter where you are, which country you're in, which city you're in, you always have the chance of being a Nobel winner. So it is literally the Olympics and the
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
yeah
I agree.
of those six areas. What are those six areas?
So there is obviously the first one, which is peace. There is
Mhm.
literature. There is economics. There is chemistry. There is physics. And there is medicine or physiology. Did I get all of
Correct.
them?
Whoa, good job.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. I did do some studying before this podcast. Great. So let's get into it. As we said, the Nobel Peace Prize has gone to Maria Corina Machado. She's from Venezuela. Um, Trump was quite disappointed that he didn't win. But then Maria, okay, let's talk about why she won this, right? She won this.
Mhm.
She's a political figure, right? She's won it for supposedly her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her
Yep.
struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. What does that mean? It means she said that she wants her people in Venezuela to have
Mhm.
the right to choose their government, right?
Yep.
A dictatorship is where you have a dictator, a leader who says, I will make all the decisions. Maria fought and continues to fight very hard to make sure that people can have elections like we do here in India and get to choose their own leaders, right? And
Yep.
people say that that's why she deserves this prize. But this time around, Kiran, I felt like the Nobel Peace Prize has been mired in controversy, right?
I
Somehow,
mean, the many times, right? The Nobel Peace Prize has always been, very often at least, been mired in controversy. If you remember, there was that Chinese artist, I forget his name, but I think it was about 8, 10 years ago, who was jailed in China, was declared the Nobel Peace Prize winner. And then that resulted in China actually, going against Norway, because Norway is where the Nobel Peace Prize is announced. So it always had its share of controversy, I think. Not every year, some years when Mother Teresa, you know, is given the Nobel Peace Prize, no one's questioning that, or Nelson Mandela is given the Peace Prize, no one's questioning that. But there are
well,
years
except for
where,
the people who he fought against, maybe in South Africa, who
sure,
didn't like that he won
maybe,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but here too, right, Maria Machado, what has happened is that she's been found, there have been stories of how she supported the Israeli government. I think that's been a big
hmm,
part of the controversy
yeah,
because we know what's been
yeah,
happening in Israel. We know about the human rights violations that have been happening in Gaza, which have been led by the Israeli government. But she has supposedly expressed her support for them and her cooperation with the party in Israel that has actually been the main force behind everything that's gone down in Gaza. There have also been, she's also supposedly been okay with foreign intervention in Venezuela. Now, see, Venezuela is a country that would like to do things their way. They don't want anyone from the outside coming in and meddling in their internal affairs. But supposedly, Maria has said that she's okay. She's encouraged foreign intervention in matters that were about Venezuela's internal matters. Also, the other interesting twist was when she got the Nobel Peace Prize. Everyone's like, okay, Trump's not got it. She supposedly actually dedicated part of the Nobel Peace Prize to Trump because because of all the work that he's done in Israel. And she actually said that I would like to, I think you truly deserved it. So I would like to dedicate this prize to you. And that has been controversial
mm,
as well because Trump is a
yeah,
controversial personality himself.
yeah. And I think if you look at her history as well, and not even too much in the past, did you know that she was actually blocked from running for president last year in 2024 by the courts of Venezuela? So she
Interesting.
actually cannot take on public office, which means she cannot become a leader. She cannot become the prime minister. She cannot become a minister for the next 15 years. That's the court ruling. So,
Yeah.
there's obviously a lot of controversy over here. Yes. One side is, I think now, if you think about the Nobel Peace Prize, just the prize itself gives so much visibility into something, right? Now, it's given us visibility about Maria Machado and Venezuela, most importantly, right? Not too many people were thinking about Venezuela, right? Very honestly, no one was thinking
Absolutely.
about Venezuela, right? And now everyone thinks about Venezuela, even if it is just, hey, where is this country? Even if you don't know where this country is, right? And how big is it? And how many people? And what's its state right now? So I think that's also something that you should consider when you think about the Nobel Prizes. It does give some visibility into really, really important areas. And maybe the committee, I don't know, maybe the committee thought that Venezuela was really important to highlight at this point. The economy and the country is, almost teetering on um, high inflation, very high costs. They're struggling. So it is definitely a country that needs some visibility.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. People are talking about how, peace should be defined in a very strict manner or in a certain manner, rather, in a world that is so turbulent today, right? There's so much happening. So, when you select someone, the famous saying, as Spider-Man would say, with great power comes great responsibility. So that's what this situation is as
Yeah.
well, right? Anyway, so we will move on from that. And we will talk because we want to quickly tell you about the other winners of the Nobel Prize this
Very
year.
important.
Like we said, there are 5 more. We'll start with economics. It's been split between 3 winners this year: Joel Moker,
Mhm.
Philippe Aghion, and Peter Howitt. Now, they
Mhm.
have won for something that's super interesting, Kiran.
Yeah, it is. It's basically how innovation drives economic growth. And in simpler terms, if you think about it, to grow or to really build a country or a market or an industry, you have to keep building new things, right? You're constantly growing. Think about your Lego toys. You started with Duplos, which are big blocks. Then you moved into smaller blocks. Then you did sets. Then you started building your own things, right? As you grow, you need to kind of keep building new ideas, new technologies, come up with new ways to do things. And so the whole study was from an economic perspective. And economic basically means money and trade and those kind of things. How does this innovation, new ideas, new technologies, new ways of doing things, how does it help an economy grow? And we've always known it for a fact. Those who work, those who have been a part of this ecosystem have always known that innovation is very, very important. But I think their study really came to the crux of it and gave a very, very simple definition of how it actually impacts it.
Yeah, I think so interesting and important in the times that we live in today. Because again, you have people who are talking about how scientists should be controlled, how thinkers should be
Mhm.
controlled. We need to control how people think, what they talk about, what they write. So in a world where if you're going to be scared to innovate, if you're going to be scared to think differently from everyone around you, innovation is going to suffer. And if innovation
Yeah.
suffers, economics suffers. You can't have new inventions. You can't have new discoveries. If you don't have new discoveries or new ways of doing things, you're going to be stuck in an
Yeah.
old way of doing things, right? So there's a whole
Correct.
cycle, and that's what this study talks about. So super, super important and interesting.
Next, we go to literature. And Debbie, I know you figured out how to pronounce this, so I'm
I
going to
was
let you
practicing.
pronounce it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was practicing. His
exactly.
name is László Krasznahorkai. Okay, I hope I've said it right.
Oh.
László Krasznahorkai, he has
Hmm.
won the Nobel Prize for Literature. He's a writer from Hungary. Again, look that up. We're going to mention lots of different countries here. We spoke about Venezuela earlier, talking about Hungary now. Find it on the map. Now, he's won not for one particular book, he's won for his entire body of work. He's a writer
Uh-huh.
who's written many, many books, and he's always talked about themes around human struggle, themes around fear, around change, around survival. Again, so important in today's world to, because the world is constantly changing around us. There are so many people who
Yep.
struggle. So he actually writes about these topics. Again, not yet suitable for a lot of our readers here in this age group, but maybe for some of the adults listening, you should look up his work and start. I know I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to look him
Hmm.
up and see what he talks about and how he writes.
Yeah, I had never heard of him before. So yeah,
Yeah,
again, the Nobel Prizes give visibility.
absolutely. Quickly, next, the next Nobel Prize we're going to talk about is the one in physiology or medicine. It's shared again
Hmm.
between three people: Mary E. Brunko, Fred Ramsdell, and Shimon Sakaguchi. Yeah, so they won for finding out how the immune system. Now, our bodies have an immune system, which
Hmm.
is basically what? The soldiers in your body who fight germs, right? They found out how to stop your immune system from attacking itself, because that also happens. Sometimes the soldiers in your body get confused and they start attacking your own body, right? They think, hey, you look like a germ, and they start attacking your own body. That's a disease actually, which is called an
Autoimmune.
autoimmune disease.
Yep.
Yeah. So these scientists have actually found out a way to stop that from happening.
And it's actually weird. I think over the last 10 years or so, autoimmune diseases have actually increased. At
Mhm.
least what we're hearing has kind of constantly kept going up more and more. And very often, you cannot explain it. You cannot explain, if someone has a heart attack, you know what that means. If someone's, got a specific disease like maybe cancer, whatever it is, you know those cells that are the cancerous cells. In autoimmune diseases, very often you don't know what is attacking what and why, or what caused your own cells to attack
Yeah.
other cells within your body. So it's always been a mystery for quite a few years, and I think this will actually give it a lot more understanding, that field.
Yeah, it's awesome because it's basically like, again, we are finding ways in which our body works. We still don't know exactly how our body works, right? There's so many mysteries held just within your little frame, right? Your little body has so many mysteries that scientists are trying to unearth all the time, and they're also teaching your body to do different things with all their discoveries, right? So in this case, they're teaching your body not to attack itself, right? To know the difference between who's a friend and who's an enemy. So I think it's
Yeah.
so fascinating and extremely important, like you said, Kiran, for the
Uh-huh.
future of medicine.
Yeah. So the next one is chemistry. And again, we have three winners. I think
Mm.
three is a great number if you want to go win a Nobel Prize, try finding two other
Get
people.
get a team of
Uh,
three together.
yeah, exactly. So it's Susuma Kitagawa, Richard Robson, and Omar Yagi. And they were awarded the Chemistry Nobel Prize for something called Metal Organic Frameworks, or MOFs. You know all about it, right, Debbie?
Yeah, all about it. It's just, I didn't even have to read up, right? I'm
Yeah.
kidding. I really had to understand what this is. Okay, so this is the way I've understood it, right? So
Mhm.
now, supposedly, they've invented something called a molecular cage, right? Molecules are
Mhm.
really, really, really tiny, right? Or everything around you is made out of molecules. All right. Now, these molecules are like a little cage where the structure is made out of metal and the inside is empty. So it's like, like you take a sponge, you have the outside and you have the inside, which is the pores, which is the empty area. Now, these scientists have now figured out how to make this empty space do things that they want it to do. Right. So they're
Mhm.
controlling this tiny, tiny space inside a molecular cage. And they're training it to do things like how to absorb water, how to capture carbon dioxide from the air, or how to filter out pollutants, right? And can you imagine? Now, just think about these three things: how to capture water, like how do you get water in a desert? Not necessarily from an oasis, but from the air, from the desert air. Is it possible to manipulate the molecules around you to get that water? Is it
Mhm.
possible to manipulate molecules to actually suck out pollution from the air? Is it possible for these molecules to, suck out all these greenhouse gases and store them safely somewhere so that the earth doesn't become as hot as it is? So there are a
Yeah.
lot of, again, really, really useful information that we can now have access to because of this study.
And I also found a different way in which it was explained, a different analogy, which was very interesting. Since we talked about Lego earlier, the way this was explained was, imagine there are tiny Lego blocks, which are made of metals, like zinc or copper or any of those metals. And there are these organic molecules which are connecting the Lego blocks.
Yeah.
So when you actually snap them together, when you click Lego blocks together, it basically starts creating that 3D cage. So you have the metals, which are the Lego blocks, and you have the molecules, which are snapping these metals together. And they are so tiny that you can't even see them under a microscope. But that's basically what these MOFs are, which is why it's called metal organic frameworks. Yeah.
Very cool. I mean, again, another fun fact. Supposedly, just a few grams of some of these MOFs have so much space in them that if you stretched it all out, it could be as big as a football field.
That's
right. Like, I just love it. I mean, your brain can expand just thinking about the possibilities that are there when you start looking at the world of, the tiny, tiny world of molecules and atoms and all of those things that build us up. Speaking of which, the next one is all about physics.
Yep. And this one, well, it's threes. I'm telling you,
again,
3 is the lucky number. Yeah. So it's John Clark, Michael Deverett, and John Martinez. And this again is one of Debbie's favorite topics. They won for the discovery of macroscopic quantum mechanical tunneling and energy quantization in an electric circuit. Say that fast, Debbie.
Well done.
Thank you.
I can say it fast. Should I try it?
Try.
Macroscopic quantum mechanical tunneling and energy quantization in an electric circuit. I fumbled. I tried. Almost. Okay. No, but let's not. Yeah. Let's explain what that is. Okay. So basically, what is quantum physics? Quantum physics is the study of very, very, very tiny things, like we were talking about, atoms and electrons, all the building blocks that make up who we are, right? Not just us, humans, but everything around you has atoms and electrons, right? Now, in the world of quantum physics...
And if you've seen a lot of the Marvel movies of late and, a lot of the DC movies and all of that, they're going into the quantum world a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was Ant-Man. Ant-Man,
exactly.
Yes, in the quantum world. So that's basically what we're talking about. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. And now the thing about quantum physics or this tiny world is things behave a little differently than they would in the real world. I mean, the real world meaning the world around you, the world that you can see around you, right? So one of the things that happens here, the strange thing that happens here is called tunneling, which is basically when a particle can pass through a wall that it couldn't normally cross. Now imagine it's basically like you walking through a wall. Not possible in our world, but in the quantum world, it is made possible. So that's what these scientists have now done. They've actually taken these weird quantum effects that can only happen in these super tiny settings, and they have built it in a slightly bigger format, right? So they've displayed it in real circuits, right?
So what is a circuit, right? If you think about a circuit, it's there everywhere. It's like a pathway for electricity to travel through, right? So think about a circuit is your switch to turn on a light. Think about your car, and the moment you hit the button to start the car,
you're making a connection.
Yeah, you make the connection, the battery kicks off, and you basically start the car. So it's anything that's kind of like a path for electric current is a circuit, right?
But the important thing to note is all the things that are possible in a quantum world, in a tiny, tiny, tiny world, which were not possible in the physical world around you, what this study shows is that it is possible to replicate this, and that's what's happened, right? They've shown it in a visible format, in a physical format, and now they're saying that if we can make things behave like they do in the quantum world, then we can build and test so many different things that we couldn't before. And I think that is the fascinating bit about this. Yeah, that is why they won the Nobel Prize for physics.
Yeah. So, it's a lot of names. A lot of prizes.
That was a lot of names and a lot.
Yeah. and a lot of mind-blowing work that people are doing all around the world, right? I think I love science. I love science. I know you are a big fan of literature. So combined, I think it's, a really good kind of roundup.
Yeah, and I think that's what's special about the Nobel Prize, right? Because it was not only about science. He said, I want different categories to be awarded because it's only when everything comes together that is when we can truly make a difference to the world around us, right? We can do
Yeah.
something for humanity, right? So that is the Nobel Prize roundup for 2025. Before we go, we did start off with the quiz question from last week, so we've given you the answer.
Yep.
The quiz question for this week's episode is, who is the Indian Nobel Peace Prize winners? Okay, there's a trick question there. I kind of gave it away, but here are your options. Option 1, Mother Teresa. Option 2, Dalai Lama. Option 3, Kailash Satyarthi. And option 4, Rabindranath Tagore. Okay?
Whoa.
And I will
it need not be
repeat.
just one.
That's exactly what I said. Who is/are the Indian Nobel Peace Prize winners? Send us your answers. Go to www.takarokids.com, or you can send us your answer on Instagram. Just send us your name, your age, and if you are the lucky winner, you will get a gift voucher and a Takaro Kids t-shirt from us.
And until next time, remember that you can win. It is not about who sent it first. It's not about when you send it. It's not about, how many times you won. It's none of that. It is a lucky draw. So keep trying, keep sending in your answers, and you could be a second time or even a third time lucky winner. You could be the first time lucky winner. So you never know. It's not about who sent it first. And in fact, going forward, we also have a YouTube channel where we will have videos of these episodes. So if you, want to spend a few minutes watching us go through this podcast with some other visuals in between and, give you a good idea of what's happening, then join and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well.
Yes. All the details are on our website. So yes, do follow us, do like us, do subscribe. Until next time, it's goodbye from both of us. Bye.
Bye-bye.